Hey everybody, this is John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, author of How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, Rebuilding the Path of the Middle Class, a bestseller, one of two books by an African-American author that's a bestseller in economics, Love Leadership, and some other books. I'm also CEO of Bryant Group Ventures. If you like what you're about to hear, I want you to sign up to Operation Hope to become a Hope Corps volunteer, become a mentor to a young person in a classroom somewhere in a community near you. Consider being a civil rights soldier, a member of Operation Hope, a volunteer at Operation Hope. The next movement will not be in the streets, it's going to be in the suites. It's not going to be just civil rights, it's going to be civil rights. It's not going to be just about race and the color line, it's going to be really about class and poverty. If you deal with class, you get race for free. Whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow today, meaning race, you want to see some more green, meaning economics. So let me now get into an issue that really requires you to do something that I've put in another earlier video, not be emotional. Whatever decision you make emotionally is going to be the wrong decision. I need you to be passionate. I need you to be focused. I need you to not be angry, because that won't help you in what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to try to help you understand where the next big bang of wealth is coming from, particularly if you're a minority watching this video, particularly if you're African American watching this video, Latino. This is an opportunity for you, but you can't start with an immediate response of this makes me angry, because this is just economics. This is just the facts. So let me jump into this. And hello for all those signing on. If you sign on and you leave your comments, you know I'll respond to you in real time during the video, or I'll respond to you post. I have a plane flight this afternoon, and I'll do a lot of it on the plane heading back to heading to the West Coast. So let me jump into this. The next big economic boom in this country is going to be America's inner city communities. Now that may shock you. I'm going to give you a couple examples, but it really shouldn't be so shocking. They aren't growing any more land, folks. This is not a tree you can replant somewhere. Land is finite. And if you're living in South Central LA, where I grew up, in Compton, California, let me do it South Central LA. South Central LA was once a bedroom community for mainstream America. Translation, Caucasian America. In the 40s and the 50s, that was a bedroom community. That was a mainstream neighborhood. It was because it's centrally located real estate, folks. It's 10 minutes. If you're living in South Central LA, you're living on Martin Luther King Boulevard, which is what Santa Barbara, when I grew up there and lived on that street, or 35th in Western, 35th in Normandy, where I also grew up with my father and my childhood friends. You're 5 minutes from USC. Some people call it the University for Spoiled Children, but it was a great private university, USC, great university, where I have a scholarship there, by the way, in my name, so I'm not digging on USC. You are 10 minutes from downtown. You are 15 minutes from the beach. You are 20 minutes on the freeway from the ports of Los Angeles. It's not a minority neighborhood. It's centrally located real estate. The residents keep changing. So yes, when black people began to move in, yes, white folks moved out and moved to the suburbs. And that was wrong of them, and it was not very smart of them, and they're starting to move back because they realize they're tired of driving 2 hours to get home. They went, a lot of other folks went 2 hours out of LA, an hour out of LA, built suburbs and built little communities and thought that they could create their own economy, not realizing that most economic growth comes from cities, folks. So the city of Los Angeles, no different than the city of Atlanta. I mean, what would Georgia be without Atlanta? So Georgia makes a lot of rules for the state, but really Atlanta, Georgia drives the economic growth for the whole state. So people can say all they want about Atlanta, Georgia, and complain all they want, but it is the economic engine for the rest of the state. The same is true for cities like Los Angeles. And I'll get to Atlanta in a moment. So LA, where the Rodney King riots happened, where I founded Operation Hope after the Rodney King riots in 1992, it's always been a gold mine, and people are moving back. I'm going to give you a little factoid. What city in Los Angeles did 2 U.S. presidents and a U.S. governor live under the same roof? I'll wait. Was it Beverly Hills? No. Was it Newport Beach, California? No. Was it San Francisco, California? No. Was it wealthy? Any place? No. 2 U.S. presidents and a governor in the United States of America lived under one roof, Compton, California. That's right, straight out of Compton. President George H.W. Bush was in the Navy, and so Compton was a feeder community to Long Beach, and they lived in Compton, California, when Compton was a bedroom community, and with his family. So one former president, future president, one former future governor. Nobody knows about it. I don't even know if there's a marker on the dude's house. But that was a gold mine then, and it's a gold mine now. And I'm going to come back to Compton with my work. We actually have a Hope Inside at Compton Community College. Thank you, Dr. Curry, for your faith, and the mayor, Audrey Brown there. Okay, now let me deal with Harlem. So a brother says to me, a black man, oh, this is racism. So, slow down, brother. Let me explain what's going on in Harlem. So basically, New York is an island. Manhattan, Upper Manhattan, Upper West Side of Manhattan, Upper East Side of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Harlem. I'm going to repeat that. Upper West Side of Manhattan, Upper East Side of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Harlem. Translation: white people, white people, white people, black people. Okay? But after a while, white folks say black folks are not so bad. That you got decreasing land, increasing wealth, increasing population, and folks are tired of driving 2 hours to get home. When President Clinton built an office in Harlem, you should have known that there was something changing in Harlem. You could get a tear down in Harlem for zero, basically. They would give you most land 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They'd give you land in Harlem, beg you to take it. And now a teardown is $1 million. Because folks have realized that that's a gold mine, right? And so we get upset about it. We say it's racism. We say it's discrimination. But we had a chance to buy that land. By the way, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist and discrimination doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it has nothing to do with this economic conversation. We were there. We lived there. We walked away from it, walked through it, walked over it, didn't pay attention, didn't buy it, didn't take it when it was basically free. Another piece of history on Harlem. Basically, Harlem saved America because when George Washington and Alexander Hamilton were fighting the British, the place that they had to retreat to give them some cover was Harlem Heights. So they were beat up in Lower Manhattan, beat up in Mid Manhattan, beat up, and they had to move up to Harlem Heights, to retool, reset, to retake Manhattan. So really, Harlem is the result, or the Manhattan being stabilized was the result of Harlem giving the generals cover. Let me now go to Atlanta. So I'm doing this fast because we don't have a lot of time. So in Atlanta, you've got $15,000 homes that you can buy down the street from City Hall. This is crazy. This is an American city, folks. My accountant told me, this infuriates me, that right after the $1 billion stadium deal was announced, one of his clients bought 64 homes for $15,000. 64 properties for $15,000 down the street from the stadium, down the street from City Hall. Now, we're marching about all kinds of stuff. We're angry about police brutality. Be angry about, where is the march for free enterprise and capitalism? Where's the march for ownership? This guy walked right into broad daylight and bought tax default properties because we weren't paying our property taxes. And I'm talking about a few $100 a quarter or something, or a year. And he just took the properties, and within 2 months, it paid him off. So, okay, we're going to be upset about that. I guess that's racism. That's discrimination, right? No, that's a dude that reads tax bills when we do not, because we didn't get the memo on free enterprise and capitalism. Let me go now to and by the way, I bought a house in Atlanta that's hood adjacent intentionally because I wanted to pop the tax base in it. And by the way, I'm not going to answer that phone. You can tell this is live and just me because the phone's ringing. Otherwise, if it was, prepped, I wouldn't have the phone ringing in the background. So let me now go to Detroit, where we are knee deep. We're doing some big work in Detroit. Got some big announcements coming to Detroit. You can buy a house in Detroit for $5,000. I'm sorry, $1,000. Now you may have to rehab it for $5,000 or $10,000, but that's your hedge fund against poverty. They are not growing any more land, and Detroit's across the street from Canada. So Detroit's coming back, folks. The only question is for whom and when. That's the only question. For whom and when. And don't get upset with a young white kid in downtown Detroit who decides to buy some dilapidated place down there, fix it up, open a business, and start benefiting from a city that we have ignored. These are our cities, and we're walking away. Anacostia. I don't have time for this. It's like, I'm going to run out of time with this video. Anacostia, right? Outside of Washington, D.C. It's waterfront. So in the Industrial Revolution, the worst place you want to be is next to the water because the factories are polluting the air with toxins, the Industrial Revolution, the factories, and they are dumping in the water. So the worst place you want to be is next to the water or up where there's a lot of unclean air. But we're living in a cleaner economy today. We're living in an information age. So where's the best place to be? Next to the water and higher up in the air, on a hill. And where they move poor people out of with a little $1,000 stipend or please move or whatever, and we just take it and go. And I said in an early video, we're living in slavery today. And a lot of folks push back. Most people, by the way, positive comments. A few brothers, oh, you know, this is one more guy talking about, look, folks, this is common sense. There's nothing I said here that's rocket science. And by the way, my next video is dealing with solutions. But there's nothing I just said here that is genius, not rocket science, or has anything to do with any sort of racism. This is just simply, we're not paying attention to the basics. And versus dealing with the basics, we want to create all the time some huge conspiracy against us. Yeah, there is certainly has been a conspiracy against people of color. And certainly there are people not rooting for your success. But why should you help them? We should be in the business of taking our lives back, right? When the Jews were discriminated against in Europe and they were not allowed to own land, what did they do? Did they complain about it? No, they created portable wealth, which is called financial services today. What do you think Goldman Sachs is? If not a guy named Goldman and a guy named Sachs who are Jewish, and on and on and on. So look, I want to take some questions, respond to that. Our inner cities are gold mines. We should be buying properties. You want a hedge fund against poverty? Buy a house. It costs you as much to pay a mortgage as it does to rent. And when you buy a home and pay a mortgage, you can write the mortgage interest off, or you cannot write the rent off. If you're paying $1,000 a month, and you're paying $2,000 a month of rent in Manhattan, you are literally opening a window and throwing $24,000 a year out of your money to pay for somebody else's mortgage. And, okay, I'm done. I could go on for this forever. And if you want me to, I'll do it in multiple parts. Okay. So, Marsha Clark, and why do we wait for approval or permission? I do not know. Irish, same thing here in Dallas, South Dallas, 5 minutes from downtown. I live 10 minutes from downtown exactly. November Breeze, so many acres of land just sitting in Pontiac, Michigan. Yep. Karen, no rocket science. I say it all the time. Yep. In Detroit's coming back, November Breeze. Lakita, preach it. Thank you. I'm doing a great thing. Jeff, thank you. Karen, thank you. Lakita, Tracy, Tiffany, good morning, John. Love the topic. What are your suggestions to prevent gentrification? Mixed income in mixed racial neighborhoods is the way to go. I actually think that mixed income in mixed racial neighborhoods is very positive. By the way, here in Atlanta, around the King Center, you see white kids riding bicycles with flip-flops and T-shirts in short pants. Those aren't tourists. Those are residents. They live here, right? And don't get mad at them. They're taxpayers, and they bought something that we could have bought. By the way, when King lived in Atlanta with his family, that was a German neighborhood. And so it means his family wasn't broke. And I'm going to do a piece on King and his father at some point, because that's a fascinating story. But they were up really mobile at that time. And really that neighborhood went from European to black, and now it's going back to mainstream because the King Center is 10 minutes from downtown. And they're putting trolley systems in. Go drive through the King Center property and look who's opening businesses. And don't get mad at them because we could have done it ourselves. I'm going to help us do it, which is the next video coming up. Kendrick, I want to work with Operation Hope. I want you to work with Operation Hope. Go to operationhope.org. All our services are free. We're the largest nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the underserved, the working class, the struggling middle class, folks with too much month at the end of their money. Javier, I just finished How the Poor Can Save Capitalism. Great book. I'm buying more copies to share. Thank you. Spread the civil rights movement. Good morning from Dallas. Clifton, Jeff, Mary from Alaska. Byron, good morning from Baltimore. Argy, civil rights. Exactly. Najee Ali, civil rights. I love that brother, man. If we had 100 more Najee Alis in LA, we turn the whole city around. You guys look this brother up. He actually even passed a law in the city. Okay, it's 14 minutes, a long video. I hope this was worth it. I'm going to do one more on solutions before I go off to my next meeting. We've got much more than 1 million views on this series, Civil Rights for All. This movement's going to be in the suites, not just the streets. It's going to be digital. It's going to be broadcast, and you're going to help. This is, by the way, has nothing negative against anybody else. This is not about what we're against. This is about what we are for. All black folks and brown folks need is a software upgrade. Okay, we can't keep marching for 100 years and singing "I Have a Dream" and thinking that's going to do it alone. The best way to start living your dream is to start by waking up. We need to take our lives back today. Reclaim democracy today. You want to honor Dr. King and Whitney Young and all these leaders from NAACP and the Urban League and whatever, get off your duff and go do something. Not complain about it. All these were optimists who believed in possibilities. Go take your life back. I'm sure I'll get some interesting comments. Bye.